So you got a box of new reeds and you're about to go through them and test them out to see which ones play well and which ones don't play as well. Well, there's certain things that I look for when I'm trying out new reeds. It really is as simple as, does it play well or it doesn't? But sometimes there are certain things that I like to do just to see how the reed responds, and then also certain markings that I put on the reed so that when I'm practicing with it, or if I know there's a certain, important performance or different kind of thing, I can make sure I'm using the reed that I want to use for that performance. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Royce Phillips Jr., where we talk about saxophone, the philosophy of music, and different things like that. And today we're going to talk about how I try out a box of reeds. Now, I think there's a story of Phil Woods where someone asked him, hey, what do you do with your reeds? How do you try them out? He's like, I don't know, I slap it on, I play. If it plays well, I keep it. If it doesn't, I throw it out. And so it's a fun story, but there are certain things that I look for when trying out reeds so that I know which reeds I would like to use in a performance. Recently, I've been working more on my classical setup because I'm going to perform something here soon. Previously, I made a video about how I've changed my mind about synthetic reeds, and I thought I'd kind of return to the cane reeds, and I was kind of reminding myself, oh man, how is this process of trying out reeds? Because the thing with reeds, they're really inconsistent. You take out a box and they don't all play the same. So today I'm just going to talk about a couple of things that I look for, a couple of things that I try out when trying out new reeds. So today I got a box of the Blue Box Van Doren size 3, and they come in these little individual packets if you get this one. And the first thing I do is I tear one open, and then you have to moisturize the reed. So I moisturize the reed and get that going. Once the reed has appropriate amount of moisture, I put it on the mouthpiece. And the first thing I do is I just kind of play in a range that I'm most comfortable with, that I feel confident about. So I'll just stick to the middle range. So between G and the octave G. That's kind of right around where I play at first, just to see how it first responds. Alright, so it's getting a nice response. There's a slight airiness to it. And then some of the things that I look for is, how does it play when I play soft? How does it play when I play loud? This reed's actually kind of responsive. It's actually responding kind of well. It's got, like I said, a slight airiness to it, but that's something I can be worked on. And then the next thing I do is I make sure I play the full register of the saxophone, because yes, it might be responding in this register, but let's say I go down to the low B flat and it could just get really hard to respond. So all right, so it's actually kind of responding really well. When I feel like I have a reed and everything is locking in tight, somehow the saxophone kind of just vibrates when you're playing that low B flat. And then starting on those low notes as well. You don't want to just go down to those low notes. You want to start on those low notes and see how it responds. And then I do the opposite. I go up to the palm keys. And what I look for is, does it sound thin up there? Does it sound sharp? Does it sound, because a lot of times with the reeds, you can get up to the palm key and it sounds real sharp and tinny and not as full. So like, you want the full register of the horn to feel as full as possible. Man, think I got lucky. This reed came out and it actually sounds pretty decent. So that's the first thing I do is just, and usually sometimes I'll do it in half notes, I'll do whole notes, I'll play long tones with the reed in different parts of the register just to see how it's responding. Then another thing I do is I actually like to do overtones when I'm trying out reeds, because different reeds respond differently to the overtones. So I'll actually do a couple of overtones. I won't overdo it. I'll just kind of stick to the first, second, and third mode. I don't need to go up super high, but I just like to see how does it feel to do the overtones. I'm surprised this reed actually turned out to be decent. That's the thing with reeds, you can try a different one and it doesn't sound as good. So those are the two things I do. And then I also like to test out articulation, trying out different articulations, really short articulations, really fat articulations, really strong, really soft, just to kind of see how it feels. And the reason I like to do the articulation is just so that I see how is the reed responding when I articulate on it, when I hit that note. And so, fortunately, somehow I found a good reed. So those are kind of the main things that I look for when I'm trying out a reed. I'm testing it through the full range of the horn. How's it responding in the low register? How's it responding in the upper register? In the middle register? How are the long tones? How is the overtones? How are the articulation? These are all different things, because the reed will respond. You want a reed that responds to all the different things that you're trying to do with the instrument. And then once you try it out and you feel like you're like, okay, I got a good picture. It's not a great reed. It's not like the most amazing reed, but this one's actually a pretty decent reed. So let me kind of talk to you about kind of the markings that I put on the reeds so that I know what I'm looking at when I practice with them. You can either mark your reed right here, or you can mark it back here, and this is typically where I mark my reed. And since this one's a good reed, I'm going to put a check mark on it, and then a G, meaning, or I'll even write good. I'll write good on there. And then that lets me know that this is a good reed, so that if there's a certain thing that I want to perform on, or a certain thing that I want to do, like making sure that I'm using the good reed. I try not to throw out too many of my reeds, because a box of reeds is expensive. But you always want to try to be making sure you're playing on as best as of reed as possible, not playing on reeds that are, 6 months old. I mean, if it's playing well, then yeah, but usually you want to make sure you're playing on a relatively newer reed, so that you can make sure you're playing the best option. Now, let me show you some other markings that I actually put on my reeds, just so to kind of give you an example. So this one, I wrote air. I don't know if you can see. I wrote air on it, because I felt like it was really airy and not giving me like a full body tone that I was looking for. So that's one marking. If there's a reed that I feel like right now might not be playing well, but has potential to play well, or maybe sometimes at first, when you have a new reed, sometimes it doesn't sound good right away, but if you play on it a little bit, a couple of practice sessions, it starts to loosen up and get a little better. So a thing I do is I put a question mark on there. So let's see if you can see that. So I put a little question mark right there, as you can see on, okay, this one might be good. this one might work for me. So another thing I use is an H for it being hard. And then actually this one I wrote a note, it's stiff. So this lets me know when I go to practice that this reed is stiffer, that I might have to use a little more air, that it might not be responding the way I like. And you want to try to practice on as best of reeds as you possibly can, but sometimes, you know, you're limited with what you have, and so you want to make do. So you kind of figure out how to respond with the reed, because it also depends on, you know, the moisture levels in your environment, the temperature. There's so many different things that affect the sound of the reed. But hopefully this kind of gives you a couple of tips or a couple of things to look at or think about when you're trying out reeds. How is the reed responding in the low register, in the upper register, in the middle register? How is it responding to your overtones? How is it responding to your articulation? These are all things that you can think about and experiment with, and just see that once you kind of figure out your system, then when you try reeds, you can go through your system and better mark, so you're not just guessing. You're like, oh, these are the aspects I'm looking for. Am I getting a full body tone? Is it responding? Is it hard to get the note out? Is it, you know, sounding really thin? But these are all different things you can think about on what is a quality reed. It forces you to really think about on the tone and the sound that you want to reach on your instrument. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of an idea on how to do that. If you do different things, put it in the comments down below so that other people can see those tips as well. And maybe you might have a tip for me that I didn't think about. But if you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. You made it this far. YouTube will recommend a video for here. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.